One of the umpires launches there on the right hand side of the course. Obviously umpires are in static positions this morning. You'll see this afternoon they'll be following the races down. And the last of the senior quadruple sculls, that from Imperial College, is now on the course, and you see their coach cycling alongside them. Good training for coaches, this course, because you can cycle the first and the last part, but you have to walk very fast and not upset the officials as you go through the boating area. So some coaches choose to do the first part of the course, some the second part of the course, and the younger, fitter ones try and do the whole lot, but I'm not sure that my days of doing the whole course, I think, are probably over. So, Imperial College, the last of the quadruple sculls there, just reaching the regatta enclosure and the boating racks area. Meantime, we're gearing ourselves up for the last of this morning's time trials, which is the one for Academic 8. And again, Academic 8s, they're going to be racing for 16 places, and we are due to see due to be 32 crews racing for just 16 places here, but just at the moment we're watching the finish line just as the quadruple sculls are coming to the end of their time trials. Oxford Brooks there coming through. So we're just now on the camera looking down from the finish down the course, and you can see crews just going afloat, beginning their warm up for the crews that are boating from that end of the course. Coming down to the finish, the Weybridge Rowing Club quadruple scull completing their time trial. Remember, all the quadruple sculls will appear later on because there was 16 in the time trial and there's 16 slots in the draw, but the draw will be seeded based on the times this morning. And the last of the senior quadruple sculls, the Imperial College quad, Putney just now coming down towards our camera, placed almost on the finish line. Passing the chairman's enclosure and reaching Remenham Club. And helpfully that green canal boat will help us as we see to mark the finish line. The finish line of course is marked a lot more precisely for our judges, who also have the help of high-speed photo finish equipment, which I suspect they'll be using later on in the regatta. And you can see there's a gap in the booms, and that's where the crews turn off the course and return to the boating area. So now Imperial College have completed, the course is clear, and we'll be getting underway very shortly with the intermediate academic aids. So these are people that probably in their, if they're good, in their first season of rowing, but probably in their second season of rowing. And there is a bar on the number of status points you can have as an athlete and compete in intermediate events. Quite rightly, as you climb up the competence and status ladder, you need to be racing against people of your own standard. So there is a maximum standard for any of these athletes. If they are above that number of status points, then they have to race in senior events or, of course, elite events. But with 32 eights lined up, then the marshals down below the start will be having their busiest time of the day, lining the crews up so that they can present one every 30 seconds to the start team. And we can just now see Corpus Christi Cambridge, Corpus Christi College Cambridge, who are in fact it's not Corpus Christi College, that is Lady Margaret Boat Club, which is one of the other college boat clubs from Cambridge. Lady Margaret, St John's College actually, but it's been Lady Margaret Boat Club since the 19th century. As we briefly watch the Oxford Brookes ladies who completed their race, just paddling back, warming down to the thing. But now back to the start, we're ready to start the academic eights, always the most exciting form of racing. %50 chance these crews have a qualifying. 32 on the start list, 32 due to start the time trial in 16 slots. Although Corpus Christi College Cambridge, who were due to be at the head of that, some reason are not there. So Lady Margaret from Cambridge, who were due to start second, are the ones who will actually be getting the ball rolling for us. Now under starters orders, and there they go. I expect we'll see most of these eights. We start at 45. I expect we'll see most of these eights do a racing start. It's a bigger boat, they're 43s now. They're bigger boats, so they like to get started in the gap at about 50 metres between where they actually start rowing and where the timing team are. And as they emerge from the end of Temple Island, the top of the island, reach the Temple Meadows, they settle into their racing pace. And they've settled down at 36, so that's Lady Margaret on their way, setting the standard for the other crews. The platform on the right hand side is halfway down Temple Island Meadows. So that's just over a minute into their race. Manchester University setting off there. reaching the end of the island rating 38 Manchester University, as we have another look at Lady Margaret in their distinctive red colours. Settled into their work now. Down to 34, as down at the start Cardiff University begin their time trial. Cardiff University going down the island rating 42, but not yet lengthened out and settled into their race pace. Still at 39 strokes to the minute as they reach the end of the island. And now down to their cruising rate of 36. Back down to the start, and we have the second crew from Cardiff University. Whether they're the first and second eights in that order, of course, I don't know, but there are two crews from Cardiff University competing in this time trial. Dublin University ladies from Trinity, Ireland, setting off at a really high rate of striking. That's 45 strokes to the minute. Meantime, Cardiff having settled down at the other end of Temple Island Meadows at 35. What a lovely sight that is as we look down on the course, a racing eight at full tilt, perfectly together there. And the Dublin Trinity crew followed by another crew, but this time Queen's University from Belfast. Fine tradition of rowing there, Queen's University, Belfast. They were rating 46, they're now down to 41. As we go back to see the Dublin crew. Go past Temple Island Meadows. Back now down to the start, we have Southampton University on the River Itchen. They're only rating 39 and their cox has immediately settled to come across to the left-hand side of the course. Whereas approaching the finish now, Lady Margaret Boat Club. They rode their bumps every day last week and now they're coming down to the finish, but still maintaining a good strike rate of 35 strokes to the minute as they come down with just a few to row. And we go back to have a look down towards the start, and setting off at the start is Nottingham University. Neither of the universities have put two crews in this year. They go off down the island rating 41 strokes a minute. One of the characteristics of Nottingham is not only their very distinctive yellow, but for many years they've tended to race with yellow visors, and it's a really fine sight in those very bright colours. Makes them look seriously smart, and I suspect is psychologically a really good dodge. A good way of intimidating their opponents. Very smartly turned out Nottingham University crew there. Southampton University, dangerously close there to the booms. One of the drawbacks of the Henley course is the booms, of course, are solid wood. So you want to, at all times, not get too close to them, because fragile rowing boats and substantial wooden booms don't come together at all comfortably. And the other crew from Nottingham University heads off on their time trial. They're rating at 35. Meantime, back to the first of the two Nottingham University crews, who are rating at 36. Glasgow University set off on their time trial, go down the island, rating at 44, in fact 45 there, now still at 44, now down to 42, as their cocks have really called for them to stride out and get down to race pace. Back down at the finish, Cardiff University. Whereas back at the start, Chester University. You'll notice with Chester University that they have elected not to have a conventional rig, not to have bow and stroke or alternate sides all the way down the boat. They have 6 and 7, both rowing on the same side, and they're stroked on what we call bow side, which is normally as you face down the boat, the right hand side of the boat. Sometimes the only way you can make a boat run straight is to shuffle where the people sit, and that's clearly a decision that the coach or coaches of Chester University have taken. We watch Glasgow University. Still at 38, halfway down the Temple Island Meadows. Meantime, Birmingham University get going. Back to a boat with a conventional rig. As you can see, the stroke, the rower nearest to Cox, is on the left-hand side as you look down the boat, and the 7, the odd number. But there's the boat from Chester, and as you can see, 6 and 7 are on the same side, as indeed are 4 and 5. It's often a way of compensating for, most athletes have one natural side they row on, and also it compensates for differences in sizes and strength. Makes the rhythm quite challenging, but if you can actually get what we call a frig rigged or an unconventionally rigged boat running nicely, they often run very fast indeed. It'll be interesting to see how well Chester University go with their non-standard rig. So back off the start then. King's College London. King's College London, who actually boat from one of the boat houses. They boat down at Putney these days. They've been rather nomadic over the years, but they now have their own boathouse. And are much more of a force to be reckoned with than they were for a number of years. Sheffield University just settling into their piece of work. They row on a nice reservoir down at Rotherham. That's the King's College London crew. Going over the course at 35s, and down at the start, Bristol University, electing not to do a racing start but to do a build-up start. Bristol University used to be based at Salford between Bristol and Bath, but now actually are based in the city of Bristol docks themselves, and settling quickly into their race pace of 36 strokes a minute. So the different approach tactically, and we'll have to wait and see when we get the results whether it's successful for Bristol. But that one is Sheffield University. There's two crews racing this morning from Bristol University. One that we've just seen start, and the other one just now lining up. But we watch Sheffield University disappearing off down past the end of Temple Island Meadows towards the Copus office buildings. And there's the other Bristol crew. You can see they've adopted the more conventional approach of a racing start. Currently at 38 strokes a minute. Little bit of splashing going on there. It's really quite hard at the nervous time at the start. Clean blade work is something that takes hours and hours and hours of practice, and even then, when the adrenaline of race day arrives, isn't always achieved. Down to 34s, that second of the Bristol crews, and we have on the start another crew from Southampton. They've also got two crews in this morning. Because these are intermediate academic 8s, then particularly the universities with the larger squads, a very good experience to encourage athletes to train on next year is to bring them to the qualifying races here at Henley. Although it's quite common for universities to qualify two crews for the intermediate academic 8s, the stronger universities. But this is why they spend 40 weeks of the year training pretty much every day, on top of everything else that the university timetables throw at them. You cannot be a successful university rower without being somebody able to sustain a disciplined lifestyle. That's discipline not only in terms of your timetable, but also in terms of what you eat and how much time you spend socialising. It's a very hard school, the rowing school, and it's astonishing to me how many young people eagerly embrace it these days, and how much the standard of college rowing, university rowing, but women's rowing overall just goes up and up and up every year. As we see York University, watch them do their start and watch them now settle into their rhythm. They've had a season a little bit interrupted because earlier on in the year, of course, they were off the water for several weeks due to flooding, and there was also damage to the boathouses on the York riverside, but it hasn't seemed to have impacted the quality of their rowing greatly. Although that's the crew from Southampton University, sticking well tight to the left-hand side of the course. Obviously have confidence in their cox, and their cox obviously has confidence in her ability to steer very close to the booms. Oxford Brookes University, I mentioned earlier, Oxford Brookes was the most successful university at this year's University Championships, and Oxford Brookes have contributed many people to the Great Britain squad over the years, and some of their ex-pupils will be racing later on this year in the Olympics. That's York University we see going past Temple Island Meadows. Being the first morning of this 3-day event, then mainly, other than supporters of the individual crews, we haven't yet got a huge number of spectators. That'll begin to build up in the next hour or two, and particularly if the sun's out, we can expect the towpath and the public areas along the bank to become very, very crowded as we see Durham University heading off. Durham University now pretty much a minute into their race. Oxford Brookes half a minute in front of them, or they were half a minute in front of them when they started. Oxford Brookes at 36, stroked on the right hand side, the bow side of the boat, but conventionally rigged thereafter. That wonderful shot from our drone camera as Trinity Hall, Cambridge set off from the start. Trinity Hall, Cambridge rating at 32.5 as we look at the Durham University ladies from above. Durham University at a good solid 36 there. Just a nice distance off the booms. Their Cox steering a dead straight course. As you look down the course as a Cox, you can actually see the spire of Henley Church, and if you steer directly to that, you'll be absolutely bang on station. Newcastle University, another centre of Great Britain excellence, produced many international class athletes, people going on to the World Student Games, the Under-23 Championships. 38 is what they're rating. Very smart crew. As we go back to Trinity Hall, Cambridge. Trinity Hall, Cambridge going down Temple Ida Meadows, about 1/3 of the way through their time trial. Warwick University begin their efforts to qualify, to be one of the 16 lucky qualifiers from the 32 university and college 8s that have competed in this time trial. They're the 31st of the 32 to go, if everybody goes in the order according to the programme. As we look down on Newcastle University and we see their excellent timing, perfect synchronicity as the blades hit the water, come through and come out again. Their coach can be very proud of the job he's done with that crew. I'm sure we should be seeing them competing in the regatta proper later on today and through the weekend.